Now, the budget director, Mick Mulvaney, was saying, you know, tax reform is the gift that keeps giving. Take a look. What was a parallel with Ronald Reagan is his tax cuts, both of them, the early 80s one and the 86 one, the real reform, were ripped by the media at the time. But the view of people who saw their net paychecks, that changed everything, and the sentiment changed. Do you expect the same thing to happen with your tax cuts?
Not just that. I mean, look, we didn't even expect the Christmas bonuses that went out. We didn't expect the minimum wage increases from large employers across the country. That was even more than we expected. We think that we've under-promised on the tax reform and the impacts that we can have in the economy.
I think that's a very important distinction here, that as optimistic as the administration and indeed other Republicans were about these tax cuts, whether you're for or against them, and of course we've said on this very same show that they were disproportionately advantageous to companies, with the belief being that those companies are going to plow it into their stock, raise their dividend, buy back shares, all of which they're free to do. But because they enjoyed such a curse of riches, whatever you want to talk about, not only the sharply lower rate, but the one-time forgiveness rate to take trillions off from abroad, immediate expensing, so much more that you don't have to dilly-dally and wait for. They are sitting on a pile of money, and some of them just don't know what to do with it. So they're sharing the bounty. In the case of utilities, for example, even with their customers, offering some 5% rebates on the utility bills. I could go on, but why should I here? If this is the case, could this be like the Ronald Reagan tax cuts that were panned in the media a generation ago? But when people started seeing those cuts for themselves, and the fallout for those cuts for themselves, then all of a sudden things changed. To Connell McShane, campusreform.org media director, Cabot Phillips, love that name. We call her a liberal commentator. I call her just a slightly left of center commentator.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Yes, I think that's fair, Neil.
Danielle, McLaughlin, she's from Brooklyn, but we find the New Zealand accent kind of helps. All right, so I ended with you, Danielle. Let me get your thoughts on this, that I think there are many, left of center or whatever, who are a little surprised by these companies and what they're doing. Are you?
Yeah, I am, and I think the point made earlier that the administration is surprised, made by Mick Mulvaney, I think that's probably also true. I think Democrats are not going to be able to attack this in any way when people are seeing money in their pockets, right? It's the economy, stupid. Right. I think what
and it's more money than we thought would be in there.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think the best things we're seeing out of this are sort of systemic changes within organisations. So Starbucks, for example, you know, paid parental leave, paid sick leave, some of these things that will be ongoing as opposed to a one-time bonus that may or may not show up next year. And if those bonuses don't show up next year, that's where Democrats will attack, I think.
You know, some of the people that are left of center in their politics are the very people that are carrying out,
well, you're right.
You know, whether it's Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan Chase. I mean, Howard Schultz has been politically involved, the former CEO of Starbucks, a guy named Kevin Johnson in there right now. But they are looking at this, and I think we've hit it a number of times, and they say, we can do everything. You know, there's nothing wrong with buying back your own stock. In fact, it is often helpful to the stock market. There's nothing wrong with bringing back money from overseas. We saw what Apple did. But you can do all of those things and still give your employees a raise. I mean, you know, what's $100 million to Starbucks? You know, they start doing those things once all the savings are in. They can afford to do a little bit of everything, and we're seeing it day in and day out.
You know, Cabot, to Connell's point about these companies that are run by traditional Democrats, even Goldman Sachs, the CEO Lloyd Blankfein on the wires today talking about how Donald Trump has been very good for the economy. Again, whether you like the president, dislike the president, whether you're a fan of the tax cuts or not, all of these guys are a fan of money, and they're making it hand over fist, and they are sharing the wealth. Now, we need to see a lot more companies doing that, even with the good number who are. But what do you make of all that?
It's interesting to see how the left for years has been fighting to get the government to force the minimum wage up for workers around the country. And now I think a lot of these people on the left are realizing all it took for minimum wage to rise was electing a Republican president and allowing the government to get out of the way of many of these businesses. And
well, a lot of those minimum wage hikes were factored in a number of states, 18 states that were rolling them in. But they're a lot easier to absorb now in this environment.
Yeah, and I think also you need to point out how the left is pretty quiet on tax reform now. For Nancy Pelosi to go out and say it was going to be Armageddon, and then it was a $1,000 cut for many people. It was crumbs. It's no longer politically advantageous to do that. And I think the left is realizing that if they continue to attack tax reform, they're going to lose credibility with the midterms coming up. More and more people are seeing the positive impact that this Republican legislation
has. Well, they are
had.
saying, and this is one thing I have noticed, a lot of them, and I've talked to a Democratic Senator Van Hollen, Maryland, who was saying, you know, truth be told, not nearly as many Americans as you think are getting these added corporate bonuses, and there is some to that, although I suspect many more will. But I think Democrats underappreciated this. By the way, as did a lot of Republicans. Now, how that sorts out by November is anyone's guess, but what do you think?
One thing that Democrats have been going on about is the effect of this on the deficit. So 1.5, is it trillion? There's a huge effect on the deficit. But we've seen time and time again, as we've seen polling across, doesn't matter whether it's a presidential race or for a dog catcher, Americans aren't really thinking about
well,
deficits
we wouldn't cover
as a.
The dog catcher.
Are you sure?
Well,
what
we might actually.
What if it was a New Zealander?
24/7.
You never know.
Reporting from a kennel.
Americans don't vote on deficits. Americans don't really vote on debt. So I think Democrats.
By the way, if we're
problems.
generating the revenues we potentially could from this,
right,
you might pay for all
and
this.
We may.
And then some.
And we may. We will see, right? Yeah. It's a bit of a roll of the dice, but
the politics, though, of this are kind of upside down on economics, if you think about it. Actually, the other big story today, of course, is the comments that Mnuchin made overseas in Davos, talking about the weak dollar, and then the other story of the week with the tariffs that the president's put in place. So the president gets hit this morning from the Wall Street Journal's editorial page. I mean, they started off with, can Donald Trump stand prosperity? So these are positions you wouldn't normally expect.
Well, his position, which is pretty protectionist on this, for whatever reason, could collapse whatever progress.
And that he's going to get attacked from Democrats who would normally have been maybe the ones that were pushing for those types of policies versus now getting praise from Democrats for pushing the tax reform policies.
But it is weird, right? I mean, you think about it, he is triggering what could be a trade war. The Chinese were already talking about tit-for-tat response to his slapping this higher tax tariff, if you will, on solar panels. The South Koreans very angry about going after their washers and dryers, et cetera. And that's the starting point. Do you think the president could stomp out his own good economic message?
We've seen how much of this is just talk and how much is just action. And I think a lot of people are wondering, is this actually going to come to fruition, or is it just President Trump trying to drum up his populist base with all of these, protectionist things, driving that sort of narrative?
Well, what happens if we get, Connell knows this better than I do, a 50% tariff on a washing machine from South Korea? That could happen soon, right?
And it doesn't help consumers, and I think it's not going to be positive. I think consumers are going to be the ones realizing, wait a second, it sounds good to say America first when it comes to making these products, but wait a second, I want to have options. I want to buy from wherever is cheapest and wherever is the best product.
Well, the president wants you to buy from a U.S. manufacturer.
And I don't think
Whirlpool or something.
And I think the government mandating that is not going to be a popular thing for a lot of conservatives once they realize how that actually affects them when they go to the supermarket.
It's kind of the most traditional Republican or conservative message out there on economics, is that a tariff traditionally is a tax on consumers, that the consumers end up picking it up. And to your point about, washing machines coming overseas from a Samsung or an LG, if you're paying, $600 for one now and they put a tariff on it, which they will for the first million plus that come in, all of a sudden you're paying, $700 and some odd dollars. And then after that,
do you still want that? Yeah.
Do you still want it when the tariff goes up and you're paying $900? Now, all of this is supposedly.
But Cabot's view was kind of interesting. You have doubts that it'll actually materialize, that the threat might do the job, right?
I think that could be what it is, the president trying to see how this is going to play with his base before he actually pushes anything out there. But, I mean...
Well, he did push the tariffs, to be fair. Those are happening.
Yeah.
The argument is that it would
be
be
short-term. Do we know
term.
when they're happening? I mean, it could be...
I think he signed it yesterday, so those start to go into effect, but they would be short-term. And the idea is that you would phase it out over time, and then you would hope to incentivize these other companies, the LGs and the Samsungs, to make more of their appliances here, which many of them are already, and then they wouldn't be subject to the tariffs. You try to level the playing field.
What do you think of that approach?
I don't know.
I think there's a bigger problem here. I totally take the point that tariffs basically are passed on consumers. The president's view of trade and the sense that the fact that he's walked away from TPP, that he's talking about walking away from NAFTA, can be really problematic for American manufacturers and American consumers. We've seen that Justin Trudeau is finalizing his own trade deal, and the TPP.
I thought Democrats didn't care about trade.
And I take that point because even Hillary Clinton, for the last, we'll say 5 or 10 years, they've vacillated on whether trade deals are good or bad. But I will say, farmers love these trade deals, manufacturers love these trade deals because they want to be able to make sure that they have a free flow of goods and services in and out of our borders. So that's a challenging thing, I think, for our president.
But it is upside down world, isn't it, guys? Thank you all very, very much.